Welcome to Grace. My name is Cindy, and this is church.
Luke 14:25-33. Now large crowds were traveling with him, and he turned and said to them, "Whoever comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brother and sisters, yes, and even life itself, cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry the cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not first sit down and estimate the cost, to see whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it will begin to ridicule him, saying, 'This fellow began to build and was not able to finish.' Or what king, going out to wage war against another king, will not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to oppose the one who comes against him with 20,000? If he cannot, then, while the other is still far away, he sends a delegation and asks for the terms of peace. So therefore, none of you can become my disciple if you do not give up all your possessions."
Church. The second half of Luke chapter 14 seems to take an abrupt turn. The banquet is over and now Jesus is on his way and a large group of people are, like usual, following him. Suddenly Jesus starts to talk about the cost of discipleship. Disciple can be described as a personal follower of Jesus or a student of a teacher, leader, or philosopher. Well, the group was surely successful following Jesus wherever he was going, so A+ there. Participation marks at the very least. However, Jesus always takes it a step further. Are you willing to make the sacrifices? Whoever comes to me and does not hate father, mother, wife, and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and even life itself, cannot be my disciple. Wait a second. Isn't this the same Jesus who follows the 10 Commandments? Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Isn't Jesus the one who agrees with an expert of the law, summary of the law as a combination of Deuteronomy 5, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, as well as Leviticus 19:18, love your neighbor as yourself. Surely these two things at the very least are not consistent with hating one's family, if not downright contradictory. Perhaps confusing is a better way to put it without more context. Jesus spoke Aramaic. The New Testament Gospels were written in Greek and then translated into English. The word hate here comes from the word MISEO. In some contexts, sure, it can mean to hate or detest, yet in other contexts, it can simply mean to love less. MISEO. Properly, to detest on a comparative basis, hence denounce. To love someone or something less than someone or something else, i.e. to renounce one choice in favor of another. Let's read Luke 14 again with a little rewording which helps it become more understandable. Luke 14. If anyone comes to me and does not love less than the Lord, his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Well, my English teacher would hate that double negative. Perhaps Matthew 10:37 works better. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son and daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Back to Luke. MISEO is used in what might be described as a non-literal meaning. One commentary puts it, and has this note on MISEO, stating, Hebristically requiring single-minded loyalty in discipleship, prefer less, love less. While another commentary adds that our love for God, for Christ, and for the cause of the gospel should so exceed all other loyalties that compared with our earthly love for those in our family, our love for the Lord should make our mortal attachment to our loved ones seem like hatred. Explicit malice towards our families is, of course, in no way intended. So the word used here, MISEO, would have been understood in a different way for someone who spoke Aramaic. Dramatic language was standard, and we can see throughout Scripture hyperbolic language used in order to make a point. So what was the point? Let's try this. If you love any of these things more than Jesus, you are not worthy to be his disciple. Essentially, Jesus is making the statement that we need to make our alliances known. We don't just get to whip out the Jesus badge when we are about to meet our Maker. We don't get to use the Jesus badge on Sundays between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m., but then sneak it into our back pocket until the next week. Surely Jesus is calling us to something greater than church potlucks and Christmas parties. Jesus is calling us to be more like him. And that is going to require some sacrifice on our part, and more importantly, a rearrangement of our priorities. Nothing gets done half committed, including faith. If we truly want to be disciples, we must start putting him first in order for change to take place. And even Jesus isn't trying to paint that as an easy journey. What are your priorities? What is first in your life? Leviticus 19:18 again says, love your neighbor as yourself. However, in priorities, Jesus is saying it should follow Deuteronomy 5. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Now, the way Stephen reads the entirety of the Bible is that through loving God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, you become more in line with God's priorities, in which case, naturally, love for your neighbor should instinctively follow. Earlier in chapter 14, in the parable of the great banquet, the man sends out the invites as far and as wide as possible. The fact that the parable uses invites suggests to us that the recipient of said invite has a choice to make. Some people think it's not worth their time or make excuses why they don't join. Stephen Cole, in How to Have Dinner with Jesus, observes that everyone who accepted the invitation could have come up with seemingly legitimate excuses for not coming. The poor man could say, I don't have anything decent to wear to such a feast. The crippled man could say, I can't get anyone to carry me there. The blind could say, I can't see to find my way. The lame could say, it hurts me too much to walk on my bad leg. Those along the highways and hedges, the street people, they could say, I haven't had a bath in days, and my clothes are dirty and ragged. I can't come. But they all accepted the offer because the servant convinced them that they were welcomed, and they clearly knew their own need. They were hungry. They believed the offer, and they responded personally to it, in spite of the potential excuses they each could have come up with. Have we accepted an invite to the banquet, or have we made our own excuses? The invites have been sent. Now we have to choose whether we are going to accept that invite. This is what we call free will. But Jesus here is making sure to be clear, this isn't a bait and switch. Showing up is a start, but discipleship has a cost. We have to consider the costs. And Jesus is encouraging us to consider them and then make our decision. And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Although those listening at the time could not envision what would soon take place, Jesus is alluding to his own death. In hindsight, we have a better understanding and can see that Jesus is saying you have to die, metaphorically, to yourself in order for this all to work. That is not an easy task. A good example of this is when Paul writes to the Galatians in 2:20. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. In the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Dramatic language, indeed, to make a point. I am now second. Jesus then goes on to talk about the idea of building a house. One surely would start with a budget, then find out how much the items cost, then and only then start the construction. Without doing these steps, one may start a build and run out of money, midway through and never finish the project. Not only would the builder feel silly, but their neighbors would surely let them know how foolish they were. Are we going to follow Jesus? Count the costs, then proceed. The second example is a king going into battle. When the king realizes he only has half the troops as the opposing army, so he will surely lose, it makes sense to make a truce in order to save from being slaughtered. Whatever example you like more, they both work. But think about the costs. Insert our friendly lectionary sheep here. The first sheep states emphatically, Jesus should be more positive and upbeat if he wants people to follow him. The second and wise sheep responds, he is describing his own ministry, his coming crucifixion. The first sheep doubles down. Still, he could talk about how nice it is to help people, the long walks with the disciples, the dinner invites. This is a hard passage. Perhaps not because of what we originally thought, not because of the word hate. We can find the context of that and make it through to the end. But ultimately, it is hard because we know the cost Jesus was willing to pay in order to bring peace, hope, joy, love, and salvation to the world. Jesus knew the cost, his own life on a cross. The question one must ask, is that a teacher I am willing to follow? Biblically, we were all made in the image of God, which causes us to all desire those good things: peace, hope, joy, love, and salvation. Now, we all want the same thing. Who here is willing to follow Jesus to the end? This is Grace. My name is Stephen, and this is Church.
In the darkness we were waiting, without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes, to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. To reveal the kingdom coming and to reconcile the lost, to redeem the whole creation. You did not despise the cross, for even in your suffering you saw to the other side. Knowing this was our salvation, Jesus for our sake you died. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of old, show